Hey everyone, welcome back to Cloaky Disc Golf. I'm here again on my lunch break. Gonna take you guys through a little bit of what I do to prepare mentally and physically for a tournament. Stay tuned. Quick shout out again to everyone following along, subscribing, liking, commenting on all my stuff on social media. I really appreciate that, guys. It helps a lot. Really trying to build my social media presence. A lot of this stuff I'm already doing on my own. I figured I might as well record it and post it and see what happens. Being a relatively new player to the sport and competing in the MPO division, I've played with a lot of really talented players. Now I know my skill set could still be worked on and improved a lot, but I never had imposter syndrome where I felt like I wasn't good enough to compete against these people. The more tournaments I played in, though, the more I realized disc golf is more about mental preparation, and there's a lot of on-course experience that helps in tournaments as well. This is my first video where I'll be doing some practicing while talking to you guys, so I hope it comes out okay. I want to be able to record these videos and still do a little bit of practice on my lunch breaks. So let's get into it. The other day my tripod phone holder broke and I bought a new one, but the only problem is when I extend it to fit my phone, it doesn't actually stay closed on the phone, so my phone just slides straight out. Anyways, don't get this little attachment. If you see it at Walmart or something like that, don't get it. It's not worth it. Got the old painting easel set up on some discs. That should work just fine. Okay, is that good? So like I said, today I'll be going over what I do to mentally and physically prepare for a tournament. That comes to mind when playing in a tournament is registering for the tournament. When I register for a tournament, I like to look at the details, like where is the course? Are there a lot of courses that I'm playing, or is it just one? Have I played this course in the past? Do I play it well? For example, there might be a lot of courses near you that maybe you've never played before but are always played in tournaments. And sometimes, depending on where you live, the courses that are in a tournament might also be professional level courses. When choosing a tournament, you want to play at a course that you feel like you can compete. It might not be the best idea to sign up for a tournament where you're playing one or two courses that either you've never played before or that you know are just really hard, maybe even professional level courses. A big reason why I play disc golf is just to strictly compete anyway. And I'm the type of person that I'm going to throw myself into the fire regardless of how bad I do. Now, I didn't necessarily start off in MPO just to do this and just to see if I can compete. And sometimes it can be more detrimental than it can be beneficial. Another thing to keep in mind is how long the tournament actually is. Whether it's just 1 day, 3 days. It could even be a 1 day, 2-round tournament. Based on your own personal work schedule, life schedule, or even just conditioning level, tournaments that have rounds over a span of maybe 3 days might not be the best idea for you. Sometimes if I've had a busy work schedule, the best thing is a 1 day, 2-round tournament. Sometimes 2 rounds in 1 day can be a little tough depending on the course, but this also allows you to play 2 rounds in 1 day and finish an entire tournament in 1 day out of your weekend. If you've got a busy schedule and time is tight, this could be your best option. And again, thinking about what course to play, you definitely want to sign up for a tournament that has courses or one course that you've played at least more than once and played decently well enough to feel like you can compete. And again, it depends on what your goals are for the tournament. If you want to play your very best and compete and maybe even win, depending on what division you sign up for, the more skill and pre-tournament preparation you're probably going to need in order to do that. Now, I know some guys that play tournaments where they haven't played the course and they actually do really well. And if you're one of these guys, then all of this preparation stuff probably isn't going to apply to you anyway. This kind of stuff has just helped me personally. I'm just trying to be the best I can be, and taking these steps, I believe, has helped me improve my game over the last couple of years tremendously. Another thing too, just in general, is really you as a player figuring out what your game is. Basically meaning, how do you attack any course and individually any hole on that course. Another thing to pay attention to is who's playing in those tournaments. This is where choosing your division really becomes important. Now, if you're just starting out, maybe playing in the MPO division isn't the best idea. Playing in your first tournament is going to be really nerve-wracking, and odds are you probably aren't going to play as good as you usually do. Now, I'm not saying that just to be negative, but anyone who's played in a tournament will say probably the same thing. So if you look at the player list and you see that there are a lot of players outside your skill range or skill set, you might want to consider a division lower than the one you're looking at. Really, the best way to determine that is just by playing in tournaments and seeing how you compete against each division. For example, I moved up to MPO earlier this year, and when tournaments are over, I still like to look at MA1 just to kind of see how I would do against that division if I were to be still in that field. And if I see that my score matches maybe the top scores of MA1, then it kind of tells me that I'm in the right spot, that I want to be competing at the next level. But if you look and maybe your score is middle or lower the pack of the division beneath you, it might be time to take a step back, reevaluate where you are and what division you want to play for, and what your goals for disc golf really are. Now, I definitely don't mean for you to be intimidated by anybody that you might see on a player list. This again is where you fall back onto having confidence in your own game. If you've signed up for a tournament where you think that the course or courses are attackable with the type of gameplay that you have, then it really doesn't matter who's playing against you. It's just you against the course. Now, once you've picked the tournament and you're signed up, there's a lot of things that I like to do that help me get ready mentally and physically for the tournament. The mental preparation starts at least a week before the tournament. I have a planner that I like to write my work schedule and the tournament. I feel like I'm a real visual learner, and having an agenda that has my work, my workout, my practice, my tournament, everything basically planned out and scheduled and written down, it really helps me to not have to overthink the whole process. I just kind of look at my planner, I know what I have to do, and I just do it. Did some stretches, now I'm gonna do some throws. I'll take you guys with me. So basically, once I've picked the tournament that I'm gonna be playing, and I've written it all out, I've planned out my entire week in my planner, now it's just following the game plan. And recently, I actually decided to take some more time off of work just because I wanted to have more time to prep for tournaments. So I've changed my schedule to where I only work 3 days a week now. It's perfect to help me feel like I get the preparation I need for these tournaments. The first half of the week is really putting heavy. This is where I take my time to really dial in my putter, my tempo, my in-tournament routine. I just pop some headphones in and I just go from 20 feet to 25 to 30 to 35 until about an hour or an hour and a half until my lunch break is done. And then that's usually all I do for the day, just because I'm at work all day. I'll do this pretty much Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I work a half day. So later on in the day, I'm able to go either practice at the field or go play a course. Where I decide to practice depends on a few things. Right now I got my basket set up about 150 feet away. I'm just gonna work on little forehand anhyzers right to the basket. When I'm doing standstill forehand, I like to have a wide stance instead of a staggered stance. For some reason, this helps me from pulling the disc left, but I'm gonna give these a little bit more width out to the right. A little short. There it is. when I have that half day, it usually depends on whether or not I've played either the course or the courses that are in the tournament. If I have, then Wednesday I'll usually take as a field work day, just because I've gotten up early for work. I don't really want to go play a course for practice, more so just for fun. And so this kind of gives me the opportunity to work on all my shots, imagine what I would throw, and maybe pick out a disc selection that I think would be good for this course or courses that I'll be playing in the tournament. After throwing all these shots, I just kind of have a spread of wherever the discs are. I like to one by one take all my discs and shoot from where each disc lands. That way I can get some good practice for putting in. So basically, come Thursday, when I have an off day, I now have the choice to either go do some field work or go to the course or one of the courses that I'm gonna play in the upcoming tournament. This is my opportunity to take all the discs that I've selected previously for what I think is gonna work for this tournament, and I actually put it to use. Now, depending on the course or courses, I like to either play it one time and throw a bunch of different shots, or I'll play it twice and maybe only throw 2 shots per hole. This allows me to really dial in what discs I want to be throwing for every hole and every situation. Whether it's windy, whether it's calm, whether I'm feeling comfortable with the shot selection or not. Coming out to the course beforehand really allows you to experiment with all the different game plans that maybe you've already thought of or that you're currently thinking of to attack the course. I personally don't like to have over 20 discs total, including all my practice putters and backup discs. I don't like to have more than that while I'm playing. To me, it just feels like too many options and too much to think about. So if I can help minimize this disc selection throughout the week beforehand, then to me, that's a huge advantage. I know you guys come to my channel for the information, but you stay for the camera work. Now I have the basket pretty much the same distance as I just had, but I'll put it to where the tree out there is on the right, forcing me to throw an Anheuser backhand around the tree towards the basket. Now when I do standstills, I don't really like to stand with a straight 90-degree parallel. I like to sort of stand with my right foot a little bit more staggered, creating that separation so I'm not coming here and opening up. I'm just pulling straight across, or in this case, straight over top for that Anheuser finish. Now, personally, what I like to do during this round or fieldwork session is to see how every disc that I've chosen for every hole, how it flies in any situation. Whether there's wind, whether I overturn a disc or undercommit. I like to play through every scenario that I can before the tournament so that way I'm ready for anything when it happens. This also allows me to visualize any situation that might happen, so that way mentally I'm also ready and that I've picked the right discs that'll help me out of any tough situation I might get myself into. Change of scenery, my phone was about to die, so I had to change spots. I'll just be doing a little bit of putting now. Regardless of what day it is that you decide to go either do field work or coursework, what matters is that you do it. After playing for a couple years, I've realized that the more I've played a course and the more comfortable I feel with the landing zones Or not only that, a lot of times just driving up to the course and just being comfortable with where you pay, where you park, where you warm up, all that kind of stuff, whether or not they have water, if they've got bathrooms. These are all important things that you can figure out before the tournament, so that way the day of, they're not extra things that you have to think about and distract from your actual game plan. So now that you've picked your tournament, you're comfortable with the courses that you're playing, you know that your game will compete against the players you're also competing against. You've done tons of practice putting throughout the first half of the week, and now you've played the course or courses that you're going to be playing. One thing also that I recommend, that if you aren't able to go out and play the course or courses that are in the tournament you're playing, is to look up on YouTube. There are plenty of tournaments and plenty of disc golf content creators out there that have made course preview videos, or even Jomez has made a lot of videos that cover a lot of different courses. Central Coast Disc Golf, just finding something. A lot of times there's at least one video on a course that you want to play. Now there might not be, it might be a temporary course, or there might not be any coverage or anything at all. And if you aren't able to play the course, see it in person, see it on coverage, if you aren't able to do any of those things, I would at least suggest for you to go on UDisc, look up the course, find a layout, find the distances, find what different angles you might be shooting. And taking those distances and angles and going out into your field work and working on those shots or those distances, and imagining what disc and what shape you might throw for each shot. Now, obviously, if you're coming into a tournament completely blind, it's going to be a lot harder to prep and practice specific details of a tournament or course. But I highly recommend going out and playing the course, maybe even just walking it a first time if you've never been there before. But just playing it. If you can't play it, look up on YouTube, try to find coverage, try to find some sort of visual to help you mentally prepare for the tournament. Like I said, I'm a big visual guy, so for me, it helps to just have a game plan and have discs set out before the tournament and really eliminate all thoughts involved before every shot. I like to even write down what discs for what hole and whether or not there's going to be wind or what to throw if I'm not comfortable with that specific shot at that time. I'll write it all down and I'll fold it up. I'll have it in my bag ready on tournament day. If I'm feeling distracted or if I'm feeling a little bit anxious for the tournament or something like that, for me it's real comforting to just have a paper that I wrote at a time where I was feeling less anxious, maybe more comfortable in shots, and I can go back to that mindset and look at what disc that I'm going to throw on each shot without having to think about them again. And if it's windy, if it happens to be windy, then bam, I've already got my disc selection for if it's windy. And wind is a whole nother topic on its own that I feel like is very important. A lot of times when I'm playing in a tournament, what gets me a lot is just the element of surprise. Showing up to a tournament, maybe throwing a hole, and the weather is completely different than what it was maybe when you were practicing. So now you don't even know what discs to throw. Obviously, you can't control the weather and whether or not it's windy for your practice rounds, stuff like that. And that's why I feel like practicing when it is windy or maybe when the weather isn't that great is actually more beneficial. Personally, I presently struggle with putting with wind in any direction, really. Tailwind is a little bit easy for me because I can kind of just aim higher, but it kind of gets in my head a little bit. And one thing that's helped me a lot is just practicing while it's windy or practicing while the conditions aren't the best. If I feel comfortable practicing in the worst conditions, it's even easier mentally. So now that I've done a lot of putting, I've been to the course, or I've seen the course, or I've mentally prepared for the course, I've selected all my discs, I know exactly where I'm going, where to pay, whether or not I have to bring a lot of drinks. I have plenty of snacks packed, a lunch packed if it's a 2-round in 1 day type of situation. I know how long it takes to get to the course, so I know when I'm leaving. I know how early to get there, so that way I can do all my stretching, all my pre-tournament routine. And now let's just say it's Friday night before the day of a tournament. You might find me in my house picking up discs and just pretending like I'm throwing them into the wall and just doing my X step across the house or doing my forehand drills. Or it's basically, at this point, I'm just locking in the feel goods, the visuals, all the positive affirmations that will help me succeed in the tournament the next day. Now obviously you want to be stretching, you want to be getting enough sleep, you want to be eating properly. All these obviously help with competing at a high level in general. Sometimes personally, I'm so excited for a tournament, I won't even hardly sleep the night before. Right now it's perfect because it's windy and it's what I need to work on. Alright guys, well that's all I got for you today. I hope this helps someone out there. If you're new to tournaments and you're anxious about signing up, or maybe you're worried about your skill set or something like that, remember the positive affirmations. Write things down in a planner. It'll help to get things out in front of you instead of all bottled up in your head. Write down what you're most afraid of playing in the tournament, and make sure to set goals. It's important to go into a tournament with more than just, I want to have fun. Now, if all your goal is to have fun, then that's great. But for me personally, I feel like I'm having the most fun when I'm playing well. And all these preparation tools are what helps me play better. So if you're struggling, or you know someone who's struggling and doesn't really know how to prepare for a tournament or really what to do, show them this video, and I hope it helps them, hope it helps you. It definitely helped me. Thanks again everyone for following along, subscribing, commenting, liking. I really appreciate that. I'll definitely be coming out with more videos soon. Thanks guys, have a good one.